Are you one of those people who truly enjoys airports so much that you catch yourself exploring and trying out all the shops and facilities while waiting for your flight? Well, whether you are or not, the truth is you're kind of paying for the experience regardless. The cost is fairly affordable, ranging from about $10 to $45 per passenger per flight. For reference, the London Heathrow Airport, or the third busiest airport in the world, generated an average revenue of £37.94 British pounds per passenger in 2019, or approximately $45. With a total of 80.9 million passengers coming through in 2019, Heathrow generated just over 3 billion British pounds in revenue, or approximately $3.8 billion. Hi, my name is Gray from Twill. We post videos every week about topics that we find super interesting. Hopefully, you will find them interesting too. In today's video, we'll try to understand how airports make money, and we'll break down some of the main ways airports make money. In order to keep this video as simple as possible, let's retrace the journey of a young and passionate traveler on his first Euro trip from the US. Let's call him Scotty. First things first, Scotty and his friends need to buy plane tickets. As most of you probably already know, part of the cost of Scotty's plane ticket ends up in the airport's pockets, and directly in the form of various passenger fees. Aeronautical fees. Those fees and taxes vary greatly from airport to airport. For reference, the US Fund's website estimates the average aeronautical revenue from US airports to be approximately $10-15 per passenger. Simply put, this means that Scotty's plane ticket will include, on average, $10.15 in passenger fees. Scotty is broke before even leaving, but thanks to the capitalist system that rules his country, he simply pulls out his credit card and buys his ticket without hesitation. Now that Scotty and his friends have their tickets, it's time to pack up and leave. Scotty was hoping to drive his old rusty car to the airport and leave it there during their holiday. Sadly, upon getting to the airport's website, Scotty realizes just how expensive airport parking is, especially for 3 weeks. Parking facilities. Indeed, parking facilities generate substantial revenues for airports, but not always in the form of passengers paying for tickets. In fact, many airports choose to simply lease their land to third-party businesses who in turn operate and manage the parking operations. Some airports have been noted to take part of the profits from these parking companies as part of the deal, in return for giving away such a viable business opportunity to the parking company. Not wanting to pay up, our boy Scotty and his crew start to look at their options. There's actually quite a few more affordable ways to get to the airport, which include cabs, trains, or buses, as most airports do. City Links. The group goes by bus, the cheapest option, for $5 per ticket. As you might have guessed, part of this fee goes directly to the airport. How? Isn't the bus company a separate private entity, Gray? The truth is that it is in most cases. The truth also is that most airports generate substantial revenues each year from these kinds of operations, whether they own them or not. In a similar way to the parking facilities, some airports choose to run their own transportation operations, while others partner with third-party businesses or with government entities who get the job done for them. In all those scenarios, the airport usually makes sure that it gets its cut. An easy example we can refer to is the Heathrow Express, which is the train service linking the London Heathrow Airport to downtown London. It is owned and operated by the same holding company that owns the London Heathrow Airport. This company published revenues of 117 Great British Pounds in 2019 for the Heathrow Express service alone, or about 3.81% of its total revenue for the year. Anyhow, let's get back to Scotty and his crew. Bus tickets in hand, they head to the airport and get there in a swift 30 minutes. The bus drops them at the WOW Air Terminal. Oh, wait, never mind. Let's say the bus drops them off at the Lufthansa terminal. The terminal that Scotty and his friends are flying out from is the international flights only. It has outstanding Lufthansa banners and signs all over the place, along with endless rows of Lufthansa-branded check-in counters. I think you get where I'm going with this. Terminal leasing. A great way for airports to make money is to lease terminals to specific airlines. It's pretty common for airports to have airline-branded terminals, such as the American Airlines Terminal at Dallas-Fort Worth, or the Alitalia Terminal at the Roma Fiumicino Airport. Obviously, this isn't free for the airlines and is likely reflected in the price of its tickets. In fact, it's pretty rare to see smaller airlines or budget airlines with one or more branded terminals across the world, especially in major airports such as Heathrow, JFK, or in Dubai's Al Maktoum Airport. The exact leasing terms that airports usually have with airlines are quite unclear, and so are the amounts that an airline needs to pay for this kind of leasing. However, according to the online blog Tales from the Terminal, big airlines with many gates and lots of space can expect to pay $400,000 per month, while a smaller airline with a single gate could pay closer to $90,000 per month. After checking in, Scotty and his friends head through security and all the way to the gate area. Having a little bit of waiting time before boarding, Scotty splits up from the group to go explore the area. Walking through it, he notices tons of advertisements for banks, fancy resorts, luxury cars, and other high-ticket items. Advertising. Airports usually bring in substantial revenues from advertising, especially high-traffic international hub airports. Specifics are hard to find for this one, but most airports seem to have contracts with third-party advertising companies. The biggest one, which you've likely already heard of, is called JCDecaux. The French company sells advertising space everywhere around the world in various forms. If you've been in an airport or city center before, chances are you've walked past one of their billboards. As a matter of fact, JCDecaux owns and manages well over 1 million advertising panels across the globe. A bit more than 42,000 of those are located across 170 airports worldwide. As stated in their company overview, the airport advertising business represented 51.8% of its transport-related business in 2019. The transport segment of JCDecaux generated revenues of 1.63 billion euros, which would mean that in 2019, JCDecaux generated roughly 850 million euros, or about $1 billion from its airport advertising alone. Given that the company generates advertising revenues from roughly 170 airports worldwide, we can estimate the average revenue per airport to be about $5,882,352. This is obviously a very rough estimate based on a single company, revenues from a single year, and doesn't weigh in a lot of factors, such as an airport's size or its location. It also remains unclear what the agreements between advertising companies like JCDecaux and airports are actually like. Some articles suggest that the airports simply rent out their space to advertising companies, while others suggest that they partner up to conceive and build spaces optimized for advertising. Anyhow, after getting over the astounding amount of advertising he saw in only a few minutes of walking around, Scotty heads back to his friends. After searching for them for a little while and crossing a few shops, he finds them at the food court. Food and shops. Overpriced sushi shops and bag stores are not to be neglected when talking about airport revenues. With long layovers and security checks deterring flyers from carrying food and drinks from outside the airport, travelers are almost forced to make a purchase at one point or another once they pass security. The longer their flight and layover, the more likely they are to spend money on food, drinks, or on shopping. In 2019, the London Heathrow Airport managed to rake up £722 million from retail revenue alone, or approximately $985 million. This comes up to £8.93 per passenger, or about $12.16 per passenger. It's important to keep in mind that London Heathrow is notoriously good at generating revenue from passengers. It's one of the main hub airports in the world, with an average of 1,290 flights per day. Last but not least, it's also important to keep in mind that the Great British Pound has a higher value than the US dollar, and that London has one of the highest costs of life across the world. Those factors all play into this figure. Anyhow, that's all the time we got for today, folks. Those are some of the main ways airports make money. During our research, we found out quite a few more interesting and unusual ways that airports use to generate more profits. If you'd like to find out where Scotty and his friends fly to, or if you want us to make a part 2 breaking down all the other ways that airports make money, just let us know in the comments below and we'll get right on it. Anyways guys, it was a pleasure making this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it, and that you learned something new today. See you in the next one.